and it's missing a side. Like, so I think my headphones just took a shit.
Uh-oh. Your headphones took a shit right in your ears?
Yeah, like I don't have any right side.
But now you're like me. I can't hear out of my right ear anyway. We are even.
I can't start that late in life.
Well, it's good to be a little odd. Come over to the left wing side, Mark. The left-hand path.
Yeah, man.
Rest in darkness. That wasn't in tune.
Left.
Missed it totally.
Oh.
I can hear that you're in darkness. I hear the crickets chirping behind you. You're denizens of the night that you control.
Yes, they're like my little companions. Yeah.
Well, here it is, 10:55, Wednesday night, August.
Oh, we're doing this, huh?
August 24th. What?
We're doing this, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were doing it Friday.
Are you not ready for the people?
I'm kind of not. Like it's kind of not. Like you know, like the vibe. Like I'm just.
Oh, that's all right. I'll lead. You just follow my lead, buddy boy.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Well. Yeah. All right. I guess that's it.
Is that it? Sweet. This is the best show ever.
Boy. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm just kind of like,
Jesus.
I'm not in the mood. You've heard that before.
Better get in the mood,
honey. I have a headache. You know, it's my time of the month.
Stanza. You get in the mood right now for details. You hear me?
All right. Let's see.
Yeah. Sitting pretty in Salt Lake City. Mark Not Ready Hansen and JR the Butcher Tarina. Here we are again. I hate everything he likes. He likes everything I hate. Mentally challenged. Are you mentally challenged, Mark?
I'm not. Or I am. Or I don't know.
Any guy who likes baby metal and Dream Theater is definitely mentally challenged.
Yeah.
There you go. Start the show with an insult. What you got?
It's all metal to me, man.
You're a poser.
I like everything.
Yeah, sure you do. That's the easy way to cover getting out of talking about what you really like, which you know I'm going to make fun of you for, but I've already done that, so. Well, here we are. I was thinking we have a show to do in terms of, I wanted to compare notes with Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. I know we've talked about them pretty extensively last few shows, but
is this Iron Maiden versus Judas Priest?
In a way, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Not specifically, because I know they're still kind of different bands, but they're almost pretty much from the same era. But you know, right. I'm seasonal with my music, so I'm like, Judas Priest is like totally 100% a summer band for me. So I've been listening nonstop. I've even dug up Rock-a-Rolla and Sad Wings of Destiny, which those two are a little more wintry. You know, they're so dark and depressing.
Yeah, you should be listening to Turbo.
I thought about getting Turbo out, but I just can't bring myself to do it. And I'm reading K.K. Downing's book right now, too, which is adding to the Priest hysteria in my life. And he talks about Turbo, and even the way he talks about it, it's just a little bit like, yeah, it was poppy and radio friendly, and we had fun and met more girls, and our hair was a little more teased. I'm like, yeah, pretty much what I remember Turbo being. So
I don't know. I still think it's not too far off from just their classic stuff. Like, I don't know, their image may have been a little different, but the music still.
It wasn't so much the image with them. They kind of changed from studs and leather to the Sgt. Pepper outfits, and their hair was a little more teased. They had a little bit more makeup, but the songs were just like anthemic, and they totally, KK said in his book, they're more anthemic, and they were totally like eyeballing America, which it looks like they've done their whole career, according to K.K. Downing in his book Heavy Duty. There are a couple of things that I read in KK's book that you actually had said on the show, and it seems like you were dead on, and you have not read his book yet, right?
No, I haven't. He's got two. He's got another one out, but I don't think it's like an autobiography so much as the other one. But you're talking about Heavy Duty, right?
Yep, Heavy Duty.
So what did he say in that I got right? which I'm not surprised. I got something right.
Yeah, there was one thing exactly, and I kind of forgot it now. But I mean, a lot of it like was stuff that you'd been saying, like how they were. God, what was it? I can't remember what it was now. But it was. Oh, it was also. There was a lot of little things like they knew early on that Rob was gay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not it wasn't that. It was something more relating to the band and the music. But fuck, I can't remember what it was. It was something specifically that you said that he said in the book. I was like, oh shit. And now here we are recording, and I can't remember what the hell it was.
See?
Because you made me wait so damn long. I waited for 3 hours.
Well, some things are worth waiting for.
Yeah, not this.
Yeah. But KK's book. I was trying to think like what have I been listening today or this week? Been listening to a lot of Nile this week.
Nile.
Yeah, I like Nile. And for some reason I haven't really like there's someone I've always listened to but I never like kind of done a deep dive. Good stuff. That's an interesting band.
I see. I liked Nile, their first few records. Black Seeds of Vengeance was just too much. It was too much, like just technical and too many instruments, too much going on in the song. Songs were really long. It was good, but I wasn't really super into it. And then after that, I just lost track of them. I've heard stuff here and there that I've gotten in at the Abyss when I had that store. There was a song on an album called Those Whom the Gods Detest, I believe.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was Kefir, the first song. It had this girl, this Middle Eastern woman, singing vocals in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was like this dark passage, and she just came on. It was really cool. It fit the music really well.
Well, I think that's what kind of makes them interesting to me is because like Carl Sanders, you know, like the main songwriter, like it's almost like he accidentally became like an expert on Egyptology, just for lyrical content. You know, he had to just sit and research all this Egyptian, history and everything. I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, I used to be very much into Egyptology, and I also, of course, I love Ancient Aliens and all of that. But as you know, or may not know, Slaughterhouse Records, my label, used to be called Sutek Productions when I started it, which is an Osiris deity, equivalent to Set or Satan.
Right, Snake?
No. Sutek was known also as Set, or I guess Set is a serpent god, yeah, but Seth.
Well, in the Conan books, he's a serpent god, or she.
Well, Set is a serpent god, and then also, especially in the Marvel Comics universe, but yeah, he's a serpent god, but it varies. Like, he became Satan, the Christians hijacked it like they do everything and turned it into Satan, and then Seth was the brother of Horus, and anyways, Carl Sanders said in an interview once that mostly what he was into Egypt for was because he watched movies with his dad when he was a kid, like Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments. So that ruined it for me. And like, that's it. That's why you're into Egypt. You're preaching all this stuff to us. Like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But maybe he's researched some stuff, I would hope.
Well, yeah, he researches it. He doesn't. He's not a fucking. He doesn't worship it. It's like not his religion.
How do you know?
I'm pretty sure.
If we side project, Sorry, in meditation.
I haven't for some reason. Because believe it or not, I don't really care for like that Middle Eastern kind of music, like that sort of exotic music. I think it works with the death metal because death metal's already sort of this kind of atonal sort of music. But as far as like listening to like almost like a chill version of it, it doesn't really interest me. I might check it out though. Like he's a really good guitar player, so. And he's a character. I was listening to some interviews with Carl Sanders recently, and he's just like an excitable kid. It's kind of why I like death metal. Most of the people that are creating are just kind of big kids. Kind of nerds, nice guys, all that stuff.
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard much Nile lately. It might be worth revisiting because I've heard that the Kefir song from that later album. That was actually 2009. That was some time ago.
Yeah, Kefir. That was off. is it Vile Necrotic Rites? Maybe. That
Nope.
might have been, actually, Vile might be their newest one.
Those Whom the Gods Detest, 2009, Kefir, first song.
Yeah. Produced by Neil Kiernan. And he's the guy that engineered Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. And he's also produced Hall & Oates back in the day. And then he just started doing extreme metal bands.
Who's Category 5?
I don't know.
Isn't
It
that
wasn't Kiernan. No. I think Dustin wanted to get him.
What?
Dustin, I think, reached out to him to do it, but I don't think he was interested. Like, he's into like the extreme metal, like Hall & Oates, but
yeah.
But yeah, he did a few extreme metal bands, but he did the ones I know of was Nile, and he also did Cannibal Corpse, Gore Obsessed, and Wretched Spawn. Both great albums.
Says you.
Dude, I've been listening to Corpse this week, man. I have no problem saying that they are probably my favorite death metal band. They're great.
Oh, I have a question for you. Do you know anything about Judas Priest, back on that topic, British Steel?
As far as like the story
KK
behind it, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I've read it now. I mean, KK in his book said that they always like to start their albums off with a fast song. And you'll notice most Priest albums do have that.
Mm-hmm.
But Breaking the Law is the first song on British Steel, but according to him, it's Rapid Fire, which is actually the second song, as far as I've always known it to be. Is there a British version where that's the other way around?
Well, maybe, I don't know. I think I remember it being
I mean, Breaking the Law is kind of a fast
Breaking
song.
the Law, yeah.
Unless he just...
Yeah, for Judas Priest, it's sort of an up-tempo song, but yeah, it's weird that he says that. Because
Oh, go ahead.
No, because I don't remember it being the first song.
Yeah, I don't either. But unless there's a British version, like I said, they also changed.
I mean, it was the first song for me because I'd always fucking fast forward Breaking the Law. I'm sick of hearing
I don't like that. Yeah, I actually just don't love that song at all, or that album, as we know. Hellbent for Leather, as we know, was called Killing Machine everywhere but in America, because Americans were religious nut jobs and pussies here. But did you know the reason why they switched that, really, was because there had been a school shooting in America at that time in 1978, like under wraps, because it was so horrific back then. Now it's like every day, like, oh, that, okay, what's on TV?
That just shows you how bad Trump was. Like, he's causing school shootings, like, retroactively.
Well, I know you're being sarcastic, but we won't get into politics again. But the point is that happened so long ago, and that's why they changed the name of it, which I guess gives a little more credence for them doing that. But I don't know. It was just an interesting thing that happened there. And also, this is another thing, a takeaway from the book too, that I don't know if you knew, but do you like the album Ram It Down at all?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I think Ram It Down is almost like it's almost like the Painkiller album. It's pretty heavy.
Well, it is. It has a few songs left over from Turbo, because Turbo was supposed to have been a double album, but it also had a few things that they're new.
Kind of that moving, like almost more of a thrash.
Exactly, they were in the thrash
style.
By that time, they were touring bands like Slayer. In fact, it was Ram It Down that Judas Priest was touring when Slayer opened for them when they'd released South of Heaven. I remember seeing them. But the funny thing about Ram It Down is that Dave Holland toured with them for that record, but didn't record the album. It was actually a drum machine. Did you know that?
Ram It Down? I didn't know that, but it makes sense because some of those drum beats are beyond. Some of those drum beats are beyond his skill set.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, when Scott Travis entered the band, he was like, "Dude, I can't play that stuff. That's impossible for anyone to play." So they'd fuck around with him and tell him, hey, play this. And he's like, I can't play that. There's no human can play that. And but apparently, K.K. Downing is the one who programmed the drum machine. Like, I think all the band members think they took a turn at programming a song, but mostly it was KK. So I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think I might have heard that story somewhere, but yeah, I mean, dude, that's like the bane of drummers' existence is when guitar players program drums and try to get the drummer to play what they program, because guitar players don't know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to drums. Let's not kid ourselves.
He admitted as much.
Yeah.
But upon listening to, I really just wanted to hear, I've already been having the urge to listen to the old Priest stuff, so I've listened to Rock-a-Rolla.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, that album, I regard it as like a hippie-ish, kind of post-hippie era record, because it did come out earlier then. They were wearing bell-bottoms and hats and stuff.
Yeah, wasn't it like 74 or something when it came out?
It was. But if you really listen to it, it gives you a somber mood that's almost like doom metal, at least from the Sabbath perspective.
Yeah, there's some kind of drony.
Same thing with Sad Wings of Destiny. There's just some songs that are just so dark and just so. The album cover of the angel and hell, like burning.
It
was
that's
so dark.
An odd album. But believe it or not, like a lot of those like the albums before British Steel, I gotta admit I'm not terribly familiar with.
Yeah, and Sin After Sin was their third one. That one was also kind of a dark record, but it had a lot less of the long, epic, slow, doomy stuff, but it still had that dark vibe to it. The cover was dark as well. It had the temple with the skull on it, and then Stained Class is like super dark record as well. And it was K.K. Downing, actually, according to him in his book, that pushed them to like go for the studs and leather image, and like Rob was totally just for it. Yeah. He gave stories about Rob being measured at a gay S&M store, like he was giggling that the guys were like, taking his measurements and stuff. And the rest of the band just kind of jumped on the bandwagon, but Ian Hill, the bass player, was still wearing like white sweaters and stuff, and he was like, no.
Yeah, he had to get everybody on board with the look.
And I was going to say that back in the 80s, during the Headbangers Ball, when it came out on MTV, they used to call it Heavy Metal Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Way back, like 1985, 86. I used to tape it every week or every day. It was daily, I think. Maybe it was every week. I don't remember. Anyways, I used to tape videos. I had like the long extended play VCR tape where it was like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, crammed full of videos. There's a Judas Priest video of them playing the Hellion and Electric Eye. And it had to have been from the tour for Screaming for Vengeance or maybe Defenders, because they were wearing all like black studs and leather. There wasn't Turbo yet. And it was really cool. It's just like, it just showed like the Hellion, that
that's
all these lights are going off. There's like everything is bright chrome silver. There's smoke everywhere. Then all of a sudden the cars start kicking in, and you can see both KK and Glenn start headbanging really fast. Then Rob's up here in space, but he's way up on the top of the stage. Like they put the spotlight on him. He was in the background banging his head like he always does. Really, really cool live video. And I've never seen that.
I think I've seen that recently. I think it's on YouTube if you look for it.
I'm sure it's on there, but I'm not. What is it from though? Is it from like a home video, or is it just like?
I don't know if it's like Us Festival or Grass Pop or one of those. I think it's a festival. There's actually there's a live video. I think it was. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's for their Turbo tour, and it's one of the best Priest live videos I've seen. That's out there too. That's a really good one. I think it was filmed like right after Halford got sober, so it was like his first tour sober, and I guess he was just nervous as shit, but like he was just in great form. So that's a good one.
You mean the Turbo tour or after that?
Yeah, it's for the Turbo tour. That's like the tour that he got like fully sober.
I don't think so, because according to Kate, or maybe, no, you're right. Yeah, that was it. Because it was before that he left. That's why there was such a big gap between Defenders and Turbo. And then Rob came back with long hair, and
Said my history. I don't know my history so well.
Ginger announces fall U.S. tour.
Oh, that would be interesting. Have you checked them out
Support
yet?
for POD. Isn't that a Christian band?
POD, yeah, I think so. Like Christian new metal band.
And they're
Have you
touring with.
checked out Ginger?
No, I
Have you
haven't. I
heard?
thought they were like a heavy grind death band or something.
Some they have elements of it, but it's a female singer. Um, but she's amazing, actually. So
So you say.
I'd recommend. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you'd like them or not, but I've been sort of.
So what is it?
I think they're going to be massive. Actually, they're going to be like.
Like they were a death metal band, but they're not. Are they like a female-fronted goth rock band or something? Or
No, I'd call them because they're pretty technical. I'd call them almost like like just like an extreme metal band with both growling and clean like vocals. And she does both the growling and clean. And what sets her apart is the cleans are really good, right? So you have those bands where they have like where the singer tries to do clean and it just sort of is flat, you know. But her clean voice is every bit as good as her aggressive voice, which is excellent. Like she's got a really great extreme voice.
and she did show up on the newest Decapitated record.
Yeah. No, dude, they're going to be massive. Ginger's going to be huge. I mean, they're already pretty much huge, but I'm talking like she's like the Gwen Stefani of like metal. Like she's just
Is
so
that a good thing?
charismatic. Yeah, well, I mean, she's just extremely charismatic, and like I said, just an incredible voice. And the stage presence, like it's very, uh, like you can take this however you want. I mean, she has a very accessible, you know, uh, look and approach, which means that like a bunch of posers, they're probably going to be getting into her, which is fine, But I mean, they're like, I think they're gonna be a pop sensation, dude. Like, I'm talking like Grammy type stuff.
Let's see here. There was something else I was going to tell you too. What did they have? I think. God damn, I've lost my train of thought for this. You made me wait so long, you bastard.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
no, I don't remember what it was. I had all this stuff I wanted to talk about. We were going to compare, or at least that was my intent, was to compare Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, like kind of have a little versus thing. Of course, they're two different bands, really. In
Uh-huh.
fact, there's a funny story again in KK's book that he recounts about not really being a fan of Iron Maiden because he thought they were dicks. Like for years running, like they would keep ending up on tour together, and every time he'd say, "Yeah, they were dicks to us," and we get pissed off. They were really presumptuous and really cocky, and they were like, not minding their P's and Q's. I was like, man, some of the stories I was like, that's it. They just came to watch you practice, and that's bad. Like, why is that bad? And I guess it was like an etiquette thing that you don't do with bands that you're opening for or something. I don't know, but
I
he
didn't
seemed.
know that.
Oh, this is Paul Di'Anno Iron Maiden, by the way, too. And then later on, the Bruce Iron Maiden, same story. They had problems with, I guess, saying Iron Maiden was demanding and wanted all this gear and all this space on the stage and more time to play and all this other stuff. So typical band shit.
Yeah, and I think kind of in that stage of a band's career when you're that hungry and that like just motivated, you probably do end up stepping on some toes, which it's just the nature of the beast or the number of the beast. So I wouldn't be surprised. And Bruce Dickinson, I mean, I love the guy, but he's cocky. He's definitely thinks he's the shit, which it's true. It's pretty badass. So I could see that. I could see that happening. Couldn't you?
Yeah, and he said so in the book too. He said, "Yeah, I carried that grudge for a few years, maybe longer than I should have, and I guess in hindsight, maybe I was just being a little too pissy because they were young and hungry, and I would have done the same thing. But it's really interesting to read his book because they were fucking groupies and stuff, but they also were like playing golf and just kind of
Mm.
going and having a drink together and just going back to the hotel sometimes. It was really weird, but his book's definitely by far and wide. I'm nearly 2/3 of the way through it. Much more interesting than Bruce Dickinson's book. There's no fencing and no learning to fly, obviously. So there's 2/3 of the book down right there on Bruce. Um,
What was I gonna say? Have you read Rob Halford's book?
no, I have that, and I'm going to read it next. That's why I bought them both, because I'm going to read them in tandem. Because if I recall, Rob didn't write a book until KK did, and of course, just like Kiss, someone said something that pissed off this guy. Now this guy has to write a book. Now Rob's going to write a book and piss off Dave Holland or somebody, and then Dave Holland's going to write a book, or who knows. But
Dave Holland's just like, I just want to play bass. I don't
Ian
need
Hill is always that quiet guy in the background. It's just
Yeah, that's what I meant. Ian Hill, like Dave Holland. I thought Dave Holland died.
no,
Didn't he
Dave
pass
Holland's
away?
the drummer. I don't know if he
I
died
know.
or not, but I mean, he left the band.
Yeah, and he got some trouble with
Well,
like
there was trouble, and
kids.
KK didn't touch much on it. Obviously, it's not his place to do it, but he said that there were some allegations about underage sexual abuse
Mm.
or something, or relations, but it seems like he indicated it may have been like more of like a ploy to just take Dave down for whatever reason that might not have been accurate. And Dave, of course, insisted he was innocent, but he's still in jail or had been all that time. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know, crazy. I don't know.
No one's beyond redemption in my book, but I don't know. Certain people are, but you just don't want to think the worst about somebody, especially if you're a fan of their band. But it happens.
Well, I was thinking, everybody says that Iron Maiden and Judas Priest are like the two classic heavy metal bands, but I got to be honest with you, I lean a lot more towards Priest. I like Maiden.
No, I agree with you. I think Priest is more listenable to me.
They're more
Like,
listenable, they're more accessible, but not, and that's not why I like them. Like I said, I don't like their pop albums as much, like British Steel Turbo and Point of Entry. There's like a few good songs on those to me, but Stained Class, that's where it's at. Hellbent for Leather, Defenders, Screaming for Vengeance, although that's Judas
yeah,
Priest
I
to
love
me.
Screaming.
And I don't know, it just seems like Iron Maiden. It's Iron Maiden's more of like a task.
Well, Iron
And I don't
Maiden's like,
negatively. I mean, it's like there's so much going on with the lyrics. There's so much going on with all the
yeah,
guitars and the arpeggio, all this just the stuff they do. It's like a more intricate, more flourished. And now they have three guitarists, so it's like a little more not challenging, but it's just like you can't just put it on and listen to it. You gotta be in the mood. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a little more cerebral, and I think that's probably why I prefer Priest, just because it's like you can kind of throw on some Judas Priest and then just go on with your day. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to, and it's not that it's dumb music or anything like that, but you really, like I said, it's just listenable. It's a little more.
Judas Priest for me is like the summer defined musically. That's like summertime tunes. Like last night, even though it was nighttime, I went out and I rode this. I got a bike for my birthday, so I went out riding my bike around. I just put on Stained Class and I put on The Rage from British Steel.
Yeah,
Seriously, it's like one of my favorite songs. It's like so good. It's just so different and like out
so
there.
weird. It's like kind of a strange, like you said, it's kind of almost got a reggae feel to it.
There are songs that they do that to me put
Well,
me
and
in a
that's
place where it's just a weird thing that only I get, and it's like they did it for me. And The Rage is one of those songs.
yeah, no, and I think with Priest, you almost get a little more variety. You know what I mean? You get a little bit of that kind of good time rock and roll sort of thing, and then you get sort of the metal, the serious sort of epic metal, and kind of in between. So they cover a lot of ground, you know,
They do, and then
sonically.
there's on Stained Class. There's so many good songs, and Stained Class is weird. It's a mix of like good rock and just like really dark, like going back to their first three albums, just dark, epic,
Kind of
dark metal
gloomy.
tracks. You could easily be in the middle of winter, just depressed with the gray skies, just listening to like Heroes End or Beyond the Realms of Death. All these dark songs, and But there's a song on Stained Class called White Heat Red Hot that I just really love. It's probably a throwaway track on the album, but to me, it's like just the essence of summer, like the guitar tone, everything. It's just the title of it. I mean, it's just, there's something about it. Like the vocals are just really weird on it. And they really had something going. And like, I like their screaming heavy metal stuff, but sometimes I got to be honest, it seems like they try a little too hard to go that route. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
that is what they are, but sometimes it's like they're forcing the issue, and that's good because that's kind of
it's almost like too self-referential, you know.
kind of in a way, and that's why I really get into like the older stuff so much. Now, the first two albums are probably an acquired taste, but like in the right setting, they're so dark and doomy. It's just, I don't know. It's just I think it's because it's.
Might have to give them a visit.
I could put them in your Dropbox, but you never listen to anything I send you. But
I mean, I've I got the subscription services. I can pull them up.
I see.
I know you're anti subscription streaming services, but I gotta admit, man,
fans get nothing. The labels get even less.
As it should be.
I'm
just kidding, dude. No, I wish there was a solution to that.
So, there have been some recent deaths in the news. You heard of Cradle of Filth, Stuart Anstis passed away this week.
Yeah, wasn't he like one of the original members?
I don't know. I don't think he was, but I was never a big fan of theirs. I had their first record, but I gave it away to somebody because I just didn't like it. It was too goth and screamy for me. But
interesting that they're too goth after we just spent the last episode talking about how much we love goth chicks.
Well, I love goth chicks and I like goth music, like legit real gothic rock and like death rock and that kind of stuff. But like when the black metal band says they're black metal and then they're portraying this gothy thing like the vampire and there's keyboards. That's why I don't like Dimmu Borgir. It's just too long songs, like keyboards sweeping all over the place, guitar solo. It's not my thing. There's no denying they've been a mainstay. They're still around, so you know. Not, I just don't like Danny's vocals. Are like one of the things of all that like drives me crazy. I'm just not into it. But anyway, I'm not sure what happened with him, but he passed away, and also Steve Grimmett from Grim Reaper.
Yeah, but that guy had some pretty bad health problems for a long time. Grimmett. In fact, I think he had like, I don't know, like really bad diabetes or something. I think he lost part of his leg.
I don't know. I didn't really
had an amputation.
But
I like Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper is kind of really underrated if you think about it, because they had their first two records were really good. I really like Fear No Evil, especially the video. Have you ever seen the video of Fear No Evil?
I don't know.
It's the second record. It shows the Grim Reaper riding a chopper and going through a stained glass window in a church. It's kind of a cool album. But the video is like Mad Max meets Conan the Barbarian. It's fucking crazy. It's like there's all these muscly dudes wearing like spiked bandoliers and shit with helmets. And there's this giant muscly dude but with a wolf head, like the snarling wolf head, like it's a wolfman creature. There's all these humans being forced to work in the trenches. Then Steve Grimmett comes and like breaks their chains and frees all the metal heads, and they all unite and rise up against all these wolf guys and their slave enforcers.
Sounds hot.
And they have this like all land terrain tank vehicle. It's fucking nuts. You got to look that video up. It's so good. It's like probably the best heavy metal video ever. Because most metal bands back in the day would either just show hot girls or it's just them playing. That's it. Like Grim Reaper went all out and made like a small Conan the Barbarian film with their it was just cool. It was like
a little budget.
You haven't seen that? You got to check that out.
I have not seen it. I guess I've got my assignment.
Well, there are some cool videos. We should do a show on videos.
Oh yeah, best videos for sure.
Like Iron Maiden's, surprisingly enough, Iron Maiden's videos really aren't that good.
They're not?
I don't think so. 2 Minutes to Midnight is like one of my favorite songs by them, and I love Power Slave, my favorite Maiden record. But that video is so fucking dumb. It's just like
I thought that video was great.
It's just
In
people
fact,
want
in fact,
to
it's even
shit
more
little apart.
timely
It's just
today.
dumb. And Ace is High, like Iron Maiden's got this fetish for like humor with like goofy fat people in their videos and like old black and white videos of like
Old
just
war footage and
old
stuff.
war footage or like Indians and like putting on rouge makeup and just like fighting like Indians and all that. It's just what the hell. Like even Number of the Beast, it's mostly just them playing it. They have a werewolf, like this old black and white thing. I'm like, nah, they could have done so much better with their videos, I think, but what do I know?
Yeah,
And
I don't
again,
see you
comparing them
making
to Judas
videos.
Priest, Judas Priest had some pretty bad videos too. Of course, Hot Rockin' is the
Hot
one.
rocking, man.
Don't Go, the ballad from Point of Entry, where it looks like Rob serenading KK, who's leaving him. And by the way, KK and Glenn are not gay, according to the book. So
Oh, I know that. We all know that.
it looks
Dude,
that way.
even if they were, I don't think they'd date each other. I don't think they're each other's types.
Well, they're in the same band. That can get problematic.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah, that's another one that made me think of, like when band members date. Has it ever worked out?
I don't know. David Vincent and Jen from Jenna Torturers, they were a thing. I'm sure I don't know if they're still together. Guess they are.
I thought you were gonna say David Vincent and Trey. I was
Well,
say
no,
that's
but
why they.
there's also John Petrucci and the singer, James LeBrie. Aren't they dating?
Yeah. Pretty serious too.
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons,
Yeah, of course.
Speaking of proggy, apparently Glenn Benton says the new Deicide is going to have a lot of prog stuff mixed in. What do you think of that?
I listened to that interview. Yeah, thanks to his drummer. I think it has to do with he was talking about like for the longest time he didn't like the Legion album because
I'm
I
not a
guess the
big
Hoffman
Deicide fan.
brothers.
I got to say that's like their best record.
It's an amazing record, but it's their most technical album, and I guess the Hoffman brothers were really trying to push the technical aspect of it, and of course he doesn't have a lot of love for those guys anymore, but he said he's been playing some tracks off of that album, and he's been really having fun with it. So
And what happened with Deicide? Like I don't really follow that. Why did the brothers leave the band? What happened there?
So I have a feeling it had to do with like because I listened to that Glenn Benton interview, and I think it kind of boils down to like the business, like publishing and those kind of things, where like songwriting credit and all that, because they were getting at that stage where they were getting paid by who wrote the song, um, and I guess they didn't think they were getting their cut or something like that, so they I think
What's
they
funny?
left, and
They
now
left.
yeah, I think they left, and they tried to like sue Glenn for the name, because Glenn isn't the original member. It's the Hoffman brothers and the drummer.
Well, yeah, and then one of them used Amon, which was the original name of Deicide, right?
Yeah, they started out as Amon, and but yeah, so I guess it has more to do with like business and royalties kind of thing that they weren't very happy with. So
That's kind of interesting that you said that about the songwriting credits, because my wrestling podcast that I listened to, Jim Cornette, they were actually talking about the Go-Go's. They got off topic and were talking about the Go-Go's and how they broke up, and that was why.
mm-hmm.
Was because they were pissed at Jane, the guitarist, because she had the same thing. She was getting more money than the rest of the band members, but she wrote more of the songs.
Right, and what happens is
How does
like,
that go? How do you do that when you do an album? How do you know who wrote the song? How come the drummer can't just say, "Oh, I wrote all the songs"?
well, no, I mean, you guys, they start taking notes, and probably the producers involved and everything. But what happens is like, so there's going to be one guy, or two guys in the band that write better songs, so those songs are going to make the album. So that'll cause some sour grapes too. If like you throw out a bunch of song ideas and nobody likes them, you know, they're like, nah.
Well, yeah, that happened with Kiss a lot. As Ace and Peter would bring a lot of songs to the table, and they get rejected by Gene and Paul. But going back and looking at it, like Ace and Peter, or at least Ace anyway, had so many better songs than Gene and Paul combined. Sometimes they just don't want to admit it. But
Mhm.
uh,
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
I would. Why not? I told
yeah, I,
you, I had this
I
conversation when Ace broke out of his shell when he did his solo album. That whole album is better than everything those other guys did together. And then after that, every song he did with Kiss was really a good song. You know it on Unmasked, even that pop disco album, Unmasked. Like there's 3 songs by Ace, and they're all really good.
yeah, my favorite songs on that album are like the pop songs, like Tomorrow and Shandy.
Well, there's Ace's songs too. Two Sides of the Coin, Torpedo
That's a
Girl,
good one.
Talk to Me.
I do like
Same with
Torpedo
Dynasty.
Girl.
Dynasty's one of my favorite Kiss records. There's 3 songs on that by Ace. There's 2000 Man, which is a cover of the Stones, Save Your
Mhm.
Love, and Hard Time. Those are all really great songs, and they're not disco either. So, but anyway, yeah, the Go-Go's. I just mentioned the Go-Go's on there, and it was about songwriting credits. Like, how do you? I guess I'm sure there's some weird anal thing in
Yeah,
the
I mean so
about.
so mainly so songwriting I think comes down to um like melodies and words. I think that's kind of how it's divided up into music, melody, and words, you know. So, and I think each one carries like more or less weight, but I don't know exactly how it's divided up, but yeah, you know, it can get ugly in most bands. That's I think usually why they kind of split because they don't feel like, you know, they either felt like they contributed more than what they were credited for on an album, and that pisses them off, or you know, none of their input was even used, you know. So, but I don't know, like uh, I still think like the best thing for a band to do would be like Rush, you know. I know you're not a fan, but like they pretty much from day one they never divided it up like that. They're just like we're splitting it 3 ways and that's it, you know. And they never talked about it again, you know. And it doesn't matter, you know, who wrote the songs or who wrote the lyrics, you know. It's just like we're a band 3 ways, you know. That's how it goes.
Well,
And
what's
you
funny
know,
about that is that's what Kiss started out like. They divided everything equally 4 ways, but Gene and Paul changed it because they were saying, "Oh, we do all the work. You guys just show up right in time to play, or if not at all." So then that's when I think when the Ace and Peter initially left, that's when they changed everything, and everybody else in Kiss from there on was a hired gun, including Ace and Peter when they came back.
right.
So I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that right? I mean, in a way, it's right, but in a way, I guess
I mean,
I mean, kind of
it's
not. I mean, I can't really argue that that's wrong because it is true who's doing most of the work.
yeah. And if it's true that and I think they were, I mean, they really were kind of like they were the hustlers in the band, you know, like,
It's the same way for record labels. When I started the record label, I had 2 other guys with me. One guy was cool, like, yeah, let's do it. And he did absolutely nothing at all. And then the other guy just kind of talked about it and wrote some letters here and there and like, sent out like PR for it, but didn't really ever do anything other than that. And that was just him talking like tape trading and shit. So it wasn't like, no, but I'm the only guy who put money into it. And here we are. That was like 1993 or so. And here I am still doing it
yeah,
years later for no reason because it's not money. That sure ain't it. But
gotta do it for love of the music, man.
I know,
I
but is love
guess.
worth it?
No, it's not.
Worth it.
Like everything like, I just don't. I'm not in my flow state. What you want to call it?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you don't understand.
I don't know. I've had nights like that, but usually talking metal, I'm always ready to go. Unless, of course, my co-host makes me wait 3 hours to get on the phone. But
See, that's why.
what, me?
Yeah.
That's why I'm beating you down too much. Well, we need to
Yeah.
pick a day and get right on it and stay there, because when you say, okay, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, I'm like, okay. And then you're like, okay, 9. I'm like, all right, 9. Like, okay, wait until 10. Okay, 10. Not yet, not yet. Not. I'm like, dude,
That's
just
why I
tell
don't
me.
like. That's why I don't like committing.
You just don't like committing,
Yeah.
period.
Period. You nailed it.
You just like to have that free, like, flippant, oh, let's do it Sunday at 2 o'clock
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah. Now you're talking. That's the ticket.
uh-huh.
I'm
Well,
I'm a loner, Dottie, a rebel. Is that the quote? You've seen that.
what?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I have
I'm
seen
a
that,
rebel.
but
I'm a rebel, Dottie. A loner.
I wouldn't know enough to quote it. I've only seen it once, I think. So,
Yeah.
you know,
That's where a
Tim
lot
Burton,
of people
all
were
that.
introduced to Twisted Sister in that movie.
You what?
A lot of people got introduced to Twisted Sister in that movie.
What year did
So
that movie come out? It was 85, I think, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was, because I remember
84, 85, yeah.
it was in theaters when I moved to Utah. So yeah, I remember they were actually behind the times with that Twisted Sister, because by then their third, technically fourth album had come out, Love Is for Suckers, and Burn in Hell, which they were doing in the movie, was from Stay Hungry, which had already been out since 84. So
Yeah.
fuck Tim Burton.
Yeah, and Twisted Sister.
They were supposed to have a reunion too, and they never did anything. I wonder what happened. Well, I know their drummer died too, and that was after the supposed reunion was going to take place, like years later. But
Yeah, I mean, I think Dee Snider just doesn't want to be like one of those, kind of nostalgia acts or whatever. He just kind of want to let it be in the past, which is fine. I think that's kind of like,
well, if that's true, they re-recorded "Stay Hungry" and called it "Still Hungry." They just re-recorded the entire album.
did they?
They did, and it's like slightly heavier, like how some bands do that, but it wasn't really necessary. It wasn't like blowing my
Well,
socks. Oh
you,
shit!
you know what? You know why bands do that? It's not necessarily like to it's so they can get the rights to the album back from the record label.
What do you
Because
mean?
so the record label owns the masters, right, to all their albums. So it's like a loophole. So a way that they can get that music back is to re-record the album, like independently, and then they get to keep the rights to that album, even though it's the same songs. It's like a weird kind of like loophole.
Well, they called it "Still Hungry," and it's the exact same cover of it. It's obviously them older, but
Yeah.
you can hear the difference in it, because I was like, is this live or what is this? It came on Pandora once, so I was like, oh, it sounds like a little heavier, a little rougher, and it
Hmm.
was with AJ Pero, so it was before he died, so I don't know when it was exactly, but
I'm trying to think. There's a few bands that have done that, but I can't think of the names right now. I know Harum Scarum did it to one of their albums. Because yeah, they're like, because it does kind of suck because the record label's like, no, we got the masters, we own this album, and if they're at a point where they're not even promoting that band anymore, it's like, well, what the fuck are we doing? You know, we want to still play this music and still profit off of it. And the label is just kind of
well, that's greedy record label for you though too. On the other hand, is they want to keep hit singles and stuff like that. Devo, do you know anything about Devo at all aside from Whip It?
no, not really.
They were around since technically the 60s. Those guys were friends and they were doing music, but the band Devo started like pretty early in the 70s, like 71 or 72.
Hmm.
And I had a story where they had put out Freedom of Choice, the album that had the song Whip It. Of course, Whip It broke huge. It was a single, but they never dreamed it was going to be as big as it was. And there's still conjecture to this day that Whip It and Devo is one of my favorite bands of all time too, strangely enough.
Yeah.
The god of metal and my favorite bands are like Napalm Death, Celtic Frost, Devo, Steely Dan, and Blondie,
Yeah.
and Kiss.
Kiss.
Um, but they had, I guess, this recording session for their next album, the follow up, And the people who ran the label came with like the owner of the label, this old funny old man, and he came in wearing a Devo Energy Dome, the red flower pot hat. And he was singing, "What problem comes along, you must whip it." And they were just looking at him like, "What the fuck is this?" And the guy said, "Hey, you guys do anything you want as long as you give me another whip it." That right there basically told them that, like, make me rich over again.
Yeah.
And you guys can do whatever you want. And then that was when they just kind of looked at each other and were like, "What the fuck are we doing?" Because they were never about making it big and profit and all of that. They just happened to do that with Whip It. But then their next album, they had a single called Through Being Cool, which was technically about not wanting to be famous and for like a stupid hit song with dumb people who didn't get it. Kind of like Nirvana was the same thing. That album Nevermind was kind of basically the same scenario, if I know my Nirvana history.
Yeah, yeah, they were like the anti-rock star kind of thing.
Well, that's what Teen Spirit was about, wasn't it?
I guess so. I don't know what their albums are. So there's Nevermind, and then I thought Teen Spirit was off Nevermind.
Oh yeah, it is the song. That's what I'm saying. Is that song was about being famous for no reason, and they ironically became famous with that song.
No reason. Yeah. Yeah, I never was a fan of Nirvana.
Yeah, me either. I mean, looking back on it now, it is what it is. It's not bad music. It had its place, but it wasn't my favorite. And
I wouldn't even say it. I would say it served its purpose. Like whatever. So like if hair band was getting like a little too, contrived, then yeah, they were the cleansing, the cleansing of the Shire, basically, the metal Shire. But
I can look back on Nirvana now and say they had some good songs. I mean, it's not anything I listen to on my own. If it comes on Pandora at work, or I'll put on a 90s station for the other employees sometimes, and I don't mind it. But I mean, yeah, it's not terrible. I mean, I think Alice in Chains, if we're going 90s, Alice in Chains is much better, but they're not even really like a grunge band per se. So
they're still almost more metal to me. But they were anyways.
Have you heard Dave Grohl, the drummer of Nirvana? Have you heard his Probot CD?
No, I was curious about it because I know he like collaborated with like members of Voivod and stuff. So.
Oh, it was everybody. It was
like a whole bunch. Yeah.
CD of like 14 or 15 songs. Each one song had like one.
Isn't Tom Warrior on it somewhere?
Yeah, Tom Warrior, and that song with him is really stupid. It's like it sounds like something from like the Vanity Nemesis Celtic Frost record. I'm like, what is that? It's all like this sassy dun da da dun da. I'm like, I thought they were gonna go for some total obvious Celtic Frost jugular, but instead they're doing this sassy, kind of swanky rock, almost like it was Cold Lake or Vanity Nemesis. Right. I didn't like that song too much. The one that surprised me that was the best one on that one was the one he did with Wino from St. Vitus.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really good song. I think Lemmy was on there, Kronos of Venom, there was Voivod. Can't remember who else.
Wasn't Buzz from the Melvins on it?
Maybe. I think maybe, and then maybe there was, I don't know who else. I cannot remember who else was on that thing.
Like I said, I know like a couple of guys from Voivod were on it. I don't know who it was. I think it was Snake. But I've been curious about it, or Away.
Okay. Cover art for it, of course. So.
Oh yeah. No, I think Grohl. I think he knows his metal. Like at least as far as the kind of the classic underground. Yeah.
All right. Well.
All right, my man.
You better get the bed.
Sorry for the tepid. Yeah. I will. All right, man.
All right. We'll be seeing you. Oh, hold on.
We'll see ya.